Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is JoJo from JoJo's Cup of Mocha and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, I am JoJo. If you are returning, thank you for coming back to my channel. I truly appreciate it. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that a lot of people just find a bit quirky, like weird, but also kind of like cool and fascinating at the same time. So I'm going to be talking about ghost hunting, if it's worth it to you, and just a few tips that I've learned along the way to help you get started as well. So yes, I am a traveler. I love to travel. However, when I do travel, if I'm able to, I love to do a ghost tour or a ghost hunt. I've just always been so fascinated by the paranormal and the idea of ghosts. However, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but this video is for those of you who do love to travel, but also like to get a bit dark and creepy and like to kind of go on ghost tours and ghost hunt, or you're thinking about getting into ghost hunting. What exactly is ghost hunting? Basically, ghost hunting is where you conduct a little investigation using a few tools, whether they're very simple and inexpensive or the most complex and inexpensive items that you could find, to hopefully capture some evidence of the paranormal. However, if you're trying to ghost hunt or if you're doing like a paranormal investigation of some description, like, is it even worth it for you to do? Like, how would you really know? For the longest time, I thought like it just wasn't worth my time. It was kind of like dumb and stupid, and also we have like TV shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and all of these like paranormal activity type of shows. Like, why would I be bothered to go ghost hunting myself when I can just leave it to the professionals? However, over time I have kind of deepened my sense of curiosity for the paranormal, and a combination of a few other elements as well has led me to wanting to ghost hunt. And the first one of those elements we're going to talk about right now. First up, you have to kind of wonder and ask yourself, are you a believer or a skeptic in the paranormal? Basically, a believer is someone who believes in the paranormal. They believe in the afterlife, ghosts, and their ability to communicate and physically or otherwise interact with us in the real world. However, a skeptic is someone on the opposite end of the spectrum. They don't necessarily believe in the paranormal. They think that ghosts and all of that stuff does not exist. Science can't explain it, so therefore it's just not a thing. And they usually try to debunk paranormal activity with some rational, analytical, or scientific explanation. However, the reality of the situation is there is a whole spectrum. Honestly, on the one hand you have the believers, on the other hand you have the skeptics, and then a lot of people kind of fall somewhere along that spectrum. You can kind of be neutral in the middle, where you kind of don't necessarily believe, but you're not like a skeptic either. You're just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. You can kind of be more towards the skeptic side, or you could be a bit more towards the believer side. Me personally, I would say about 95% of me is a skeptic, to be completely honest. It's just a hint, like maybe 5% being a believer, and I'm just very analytical, critical in nature. I always try to find a rational, logical explanation for things. I don't necessarily jump to conclusion if I hear a bump in the middle of the night. I'm like, okay, like it could be someone else or something else that's causing that bump. It's not necessarily a ghost. However, there are things in the world that we can't explain. There's just a whole lot of enigma, mysteries, things that we can't necessarily explain, put a finger on, and that we don't necessarily have a scientific way of proving they exist. I do know that, but just because something can't be proven by science yet doesn't necessarily mean that it's not real, that it's not happening, if you kind of get what I mean. So that's kind of like where the 5% comes in, but most of the time I'm just like, yeah, no, not doing it. That's just the one question I want you to ask. Where do you fall on that spectrum? What are you? What do you believe? And this could be personal, and whatever your answer is, that is for you. No judgment here. Moving on to question number 2. Are you into history? Are you a history person? You don't necessarily have to be a history buff and know every single thing under the sun, but does learning about the past and how it has contributed to the present intrigue you? Is it fascinating? A lot of times when you are ghost hunting these locations, these buildings, these abandoned places, there is so much history attached to them. And a lot of the many reasons why there's such paranormal activity currently is because of what happened in the past. And learning about the past and how those events kind of led to what is happening today kind of gives you not only a better understanding of the location, but also just a deep appreciation for history and just for those who have been affected by it, honestly. I absolutely love history. I've always loved history ever since I was in elementary school. Like, it's just so fascinating learning about what it was like in the past, what happened in the past, what people did, but also how that has kind of led to us doing what we do now. Number 3. Are you into exploring abandoned places? Are you into the whole dilapidated, creepy, abandoned, like urban exploration type of vibe? Because not all, but some of the locations that a lot of people do paranormal investigations or ghost hunts have been abandoned in the past. Like, for example, the overnight ghost hunt I did at Crescent around like the early 2000s, like the place shut down and it was just kind of left to the elements, and a lot of the buildings and the rooms and everything are just in a very like dilapidated, just decaying state. It's, you see like rubble everywhere, pieces of glass and just like structure all over the place, holes in like the windows. Like, it's just, it is what it is because it's been abandoned. If you're into exploring these types of places, like I said, not all, but a lot of the, ghost hunts that are conducted take place in places like this. If you're not into that, that is completely fine. There are other paranormal investigations and ghost hunts that take place in more modern, updated, yet still running type of places where it's not just very decaying and just like crap, honestly. Personally, I just love exploring abandoned places. I love kind of like urban exploration, and I just love seeing how these places, these buildings, these locations have been kind of left to the elements. It had such an isolated, creepy, yet kind of lonely and sad type of vibe to it. Number 4. This is not necessarily a question, but it kind of discusses instruments, equipment, tools that people use when they're conducting ghost hunts. A lot of times you cannot physically see it like you can see me. A lot of times, you can maybe hear faint voices, you can maybe see objects move. Maybe if you're lucky enough, you can actually see like a shadow figure or something, move past a door or whatever. Maybe you can get like a sense of feeling of this very strong emotion that a ghost who was previously a person felt like in the past. However, a lot of that is just not enough, honestly. We want concrete, tangible evidence. Just like if you're a researcher for science and you're working on like, the human body or something like that, you need to physically have evidence of what's going on, the processes and how they're playing together and contributing to what's happening in the body. Something similar like that. You need to use special equipment to kind of see, hear, sense, feel what's going on in these locations, so that way we can get evidence of this happening. Evidence that hopefully can even turn the most hardcore of skeptics into believers. There are a lot of different equipment that ghost hunters use. So just to name a few off the top of my head, there are ghost balls, there are flashlights, there are pendulums, there are dowsing rods, there are thermometers, there are EMF gauges, there are EVP devices. They measure the electromagnetic field. They pick up voices that we can't necessarily hear with our human ears. There's the REM pod. There's the Phasma box, spirit boxes, ghost boxes, whatever you want to call them. Cameras, microphones. There are just so many equipment, things that you can use to try to capture evidence of the paranormal. And honestly, for me personally, I find it very fun to use a lot of these things. I don't have the expensive things like the EVPs or the EMF readers or anything like that. I do have my camera. I recently got a pendulum, and I'm looking into maybe getting one or two more things like a cat ball, something very inexpensive and easy to transport with me on my travels. But I don't know, does that seem like fun to you? Like, do you want to use this type of equipment in like a place trying to capture evidence of something? But it's a big part of ghost hunting, and I just wanted to share that with you so that way you kind of understand why ghost hunters use this equipment. Now, the big and final question you need to ask yourself is, after asking myself these questions and kind of learning about the equipment that's involved, is it even worth it for me to ghost hunt? And well, let me tell you, the answer is completely up to you. Very anticlimactic, I know, but it really depends on you and your personal interests, beliefs, and if you find it, interesting enough to actually go out and do it. For me personally, even though I mostly fall on the skeptic end of the spectrum, there is just a little bit of curiosity in me that makes me want to go out and conduct my own ghost hunts or paranormal investigations so I can figure out for myself if there are ghosts, if there's paranormal activity in this location, is there something after death that is currently here, right now, that wants to interact with me. I find that so cool and fascinating yet creepy at the same time. However, maybe, you're a skeptic, but you just don't find the idea of hunting for ghosts or things that you can't see or for a fact that don't exist worth it. So you're just like, yeah, no, it's not worth it for me to have my phone and to waste all this time just traveling to a location, just trying to catch something that I know does not exist. That is completely fine. Or if you believe in ghosts and you want to try to see and capture some evidence of ghosts and paranormal activity, then that is awesome, and you want to go out and conduct your own investigation, yes, welcome to the family. For those of us who are just into the paranormal to some degree and want to ghost hunt. Whatever your reason is, whether you want to seriously do this as a side hobby or activity to consistently get evidence, or if you just want to do it for shits and giggles, you want to do it for fun, maybe a 1 or 2 time thing and then you're cool, that is awesome. You found ghost hunting worth it. Now, you find it worth it, you want to get started, you've seen the TV shows, you've seen the professionals do this, but how do you go about getting started yourself? Where do you go? What do I get? What do I do? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Before you do anything, I highly recommend that you watch some YouTube videos and read up on the paranormal and ghost hunts in general. Because while the TV shows are cool and exciting and fun, but at the end of the day, they're doing it for a dramatic effect. So it's not necessarily going to reflect what the reality of ghost hunts are. You can look up channels that solely do paranormal investigations, and you can see what they do, how they work their equipment to try to get results. You can also watch some of my videos as well. I will link them in the description box and up here as well. You can see what I kind of do, being kind of a newbie to the whole ghost hunting thing, kind of see what I've been doing and how I kind of got into ghost hunting as well. But overall, just reading up on ghost hunts, watching YouTubers or other people like myself actually go in person to do these things, because you're going to get a better idea of what it's actually like. This kind of goes into the next point, but watch videos and read up on what the different types of equipment are, how they're used, and watch people, you know, like Science and Signals, me, and a few other different channels work these equipments. I've started getting into the pendulum recently, and in my other vlogs you can see myself using the pendulum, but I don't have any like EVP or any other equipment like that. But you can see some of the group investigations that we did where we used like the cat ball, REM pods, you know, the Phasma box, and see how they use that equipment to try to get evidence. That way you're not going into this blind, you're just like, okay, like I have this cat ball, but what the hell do I do with it? Like, well, watch a couple of videos, read up on it, and you can see how you can use this equipment in a variety of different ways. Next, do your research on the types of ghost hunts, paranormal investigations that are out there. One company that I recommend that I've gone through a few times now is Ghost Hunts USA. I will leave their link in the description down below, and I really enjoy going with them because they talk you through the history of the location and some of the paranormal activity that's occurring now. They do group sessions where you're with other people, and they talk to you about the different types of equipment that's used in ghost hunting, and they demonstrate this for you, and you try to get something in the moment, any type of paranormal evidence you're trying to get with the group. And then they have what's called free roam. So after you have rotated with your group, you can go off on your own. However, the thing of it is that these are secured locations. Like, only people that registered for this event are there. And there are people, you know, like their staff members are there. If you have any questions, concerns, you can go to them. So you know you're in like a secure and safe place. So when you're off on your own, like I was at Crescent or at Penhurst, where you're just off in the dark all alone, just know that if you bump into a person, 99.9% of the time it's another event member. It's not just like a complete stranger or whoever. So know that you're secure and safe. Or maybe you know of a abandoned little house near you in the middle of the woods and you just want to go and check it out. Be sure that you are being careful and that you're confident enough and know what you're doing to attempt like a raw, you know, unfiltered, kind of secured location and conduct a ghost hunt. But especially if you are just getting into this, especially if you're scared and you don't want to do it by yourself, I highly recommend going with companies that lead ghost hunts. You know, there's Ghost Hunts USA, there's quite a few in Gettysburg because that's just a hot spot for paranormal activity. So just do your research and go with a company that you trust and you feel comfortable with. And last but not least, I know a lot of people say like, I love the idea of ghost hunting, I want to do it, but I'm scared. I totally get it. I was very scared once myself, and that was the primary reason why I didn't really do a whole lot of ghost hunts, because not a whole lot of other people in my friend group are into the paranormal and ghost hunting and want to go out and do it with me. So I did have one friend, my friend Crystal. If you've seen like some of my earlier videos, you've been around for a very long time and you've seen her before. She is into this kind of stuff as well, so she went with me to a couple of different locations and we ghost hunted together. It really helped me because I didn't feel so scared and lonely, but also kind of silly, because it's just like, oh my gosh, like I'm a solo like person just trying to get like, you know, into like the paranormal whatever, and it just kind of seems like silly, like you kind of feel like stupid for doing this. But if you have someone else who's like-minded and wants to get evidence, like you don't feel so like silly about doing it. So you are new, you have the courage, or you at least have a friend or someone along to kind of help you not be so scared and alone. You found the company that you want to go with, you booked the date and everything. So now, what type of equipment do I need to ghost hunt? And quite frankly, if you just want to go and experience it for yourself and see what it's all about without using equipment the first time around, by all means, please do. When I went to the overnight State Penitentiary kind of like ghost tour, I didn't have any equipment. I just had my camera on hand, but you don't need a camera. You can just kind of walk around, get a sense of what's going on. Or if you're with a company that does group activities or kind of like group sessions where they ghost hunt together, you can kind of be a part of that experience and see how it goes. But if you would like to take some equipment, this is what I think you'll be good with, unless you want to splash out and get like the EVP, the EMFs, the REM pods, and all this other cool thermometer camera type of things. First up is a pendulum. This is really inexpensive. I'll leave the link down below if you want to check out the one that I have, but it was like $9 or $10, something like that on Amazon. It's super inexpensive, very small. You can transport it with you wherever your travels take you, whether that's, 5-10 minutes away or across the country or in another, continent, basically. You can carry this with you anywhere and conduct your own investigation. Another item that's similarly inexpensive and just easy to transport are dowsing rods. Pendulums and dowsing rods. They are the oldest forms of communication with ghosts. Before all of this fancy schmancy stuff, people used, like the spiritualists, they used pendulums and dowsing rods to communicate with spirits. And this is really cool, not only because there's just a lot of history behind it, but the dowsing rods, just like the pendulums, are very inexpensive to get. They're very small, you can transport them anywhere, and they're not necessarily difficult to use. You can use your phone as well. Believe it or not, there's tons of apps on your phone that claim to, be a spirit box, and you can use them to communicate. You can also use your camera as like a thermal, type of camera if you use certain apps. So you can honestly use your phone and get any of those apps, or you can just use your phone and the simple camera that's on there to try to capture anything. Like, I can't tell you how many, videos I've seen where like a ghost hunter just literally has a flashlight, their camera, and they're just walking around trying to get something, and half the time they do catch things on camera, and they're not using any fancy expensive equipment to do it with. And everyone basically has a phone nowadays, so it's something that you don't really need to go out and get. You already have it, use what you got, there you go. You can use a flashlight. I believe everyone has a flashlight of some description. Not only do you need it for ghost hunting, because 9 times out of 10, if you're conducting a ghost investigation or a ghost hunt, you're in the dark, so you need it to see, but also you can use it to kind of communicate with the spirits as well. If you saw in my Crescent vlog, what the staff member did was she used a flashlight and she placed it in the door opening in one of the rooms, and we kind of used that to see if there was a spirit nearby, because if there was a spirit nearby, it would kind of make the light flicker on and off. But you can also use the flashlight as like a pendulum to get yes or no answers, like, oh, okay, spirit, if you are in this room, turn the flashlight off. Or, oh, spirit, if you are feeling this type of way, then flicker the light, something like that. But if you don't have one, you can easily go out and get one at the Dollar General, Target, Walmart, like literally anywhere. It's not going to break the bank. Last but not least, you can use a cat ball. The little teeny tiny things that light up when you physically touch them. That is another great tool that you can use to conduct your own ghost hunt, because you need to physically touch them. If you place them in a room with no one around it, nothing around it that's making it go off, and then all of a sudden it just starts going off, like randomly speaking, like maybe there's like a presence nearby, or maybe it's faulty. It's a fault in the cat ball. Hey ho. If you have the money and you would like to splash out just a little bit on some other equipment than the ones that I mentioned before, like the REM pod, the fast move box, the EVPs, the EMFs, the thermometers, you can use those as well. I've also seen people use like the Xbox Connect, I think that's what it was, and it has like that heat thermal type of feature on it, and people have kind of used that to see if ghosts are nearby. Like, there's just a plethora of things that you can use, and like tools and like gaming systems even, to help you conduct your own investigation. If you are enjoying this video so far, please leave a like, hit subscribe, and click the bell to receive notifications. And if you would like as well, I also have a Buy Me a Coffee page, and you can use that to, send some donations. It helps me to run my YouTube channel and my blog as well. You don't have to. If you want to, that's completely fine, but I would greatly appreciate it. Got your equipment? Check. You are not scared, or even if you are scared, you have a friend or someone with you to help you out? Check. Got simple equipment or no equipment, whatever on hand? Check. Now, you're with the group, you're with your company, or you're on your own. Now it is time to conduct the investigation. It is time to ghost hunt. If you're with a company, they kind of, like I said, demonstrate how to do this for you before you go off and do it on your own. However, if you are on your own or with a company that gives you a little bit more freedom and flexibility to kind of do your own thing, this is how you, generally speaking, conduct a ghost hunt. Number one, always check the location or the buildings of the location you're planning to ghost hunt in. Like, you want to make sure that it's safe, you want to make sure that there's no one else around, not only to possibly hurt you, but also to intrude and ruin your investigation. So make sure you just check the premise, check the buildings, check everything, make sure it's safe, clear, and good to go before you start. Step number 2, set up your equipment of choice. If you have cameras like I do and you're just sticking in one place, or if you have multiple camera and equipment, set them up in the different rooms before you start your investigation. Well, make sure you test them out as well, make sure that they work, but test them out, put them in different areas so that way when it's time to start, you are set up, ready, and good to go. Number 3, after you've set up your equipment and everything, start the investigation by stating who you are, why you're there, and how you mean no harm or disrespect, and ask the spirits if they would like to communicate with you. Because the last thing you want to do is kind of provoke any spirits, if there are any, or create just negative, ugly vibes and energy in the room and have possibly something, go wrong or harm you or attach itself to you in a negative way. Next, what you want to do is continue the same process using different equipment in different locations. I mean, if you're just in one room or one area, you can't go anywhere else, that's completely fine. But if you are on a bigger premise or location, then you can go in multiple buildings or areas and conduct your investigation. Kind of like with, researchers and scientists, and they're using their methods. They repeat the experiment using different tools, different methods, so that way they can try to replicate the results or just see if they can get the same result using different methods. So that way, like, okay, it's foolproof no matter what we do, like, this is the same result that we're getting. Cool. You want to do that as well in ghost hunting. So you want to use a combination of the camera, the pendulum, maybe a cat ball, an EMF reader, the thermometer, to get different types of evidence. And hopefully if you do catch something on like the thermometer, you can pick up like the electromagnetic field, you can get voices on the EVP reader, and the light bulb, the cat ball keeps going off. Like, okay, now you have a bit more of a case to build that, okay, yes, something is going on here. Is it a ghost? Possibly. Is it like something wrong with the house or location? Maybe. But we know something is going on, because no matter what device I use, I'm getting something on all of them. So that's what you want to do with ghost hunts as well. Lastly, before you leave the location, how you want to end your ghost hunt is by thanking the spirits in that location for allowing you to be there and for talking with you, and by wishing them, to rest in peace. Just end on a good note, be positive before you leave. Don't be disrespectful, don't, like storm off in the middle of the investigation. Like, that's just kind of rude, honestly. Even if, you don't believe in spirits or ghosts or anything like that, like, it's just not cool, in my opinion. If you do encounter any phenomenon, it is going to be a cool yet very like scary or maybe even unsafe situation. So if you do encounter something on your ghost hunt, try your best not to overreact. I know you see a lot of like other ghost, hunts and videos where like something happens, something moves, and then the people flip the F out and just dip out of there. And it's kind of like, I get it, but like you're a ghost hunter, you're an investigator, you're looking for this, and when this happens, you're just immediately running away. As long as it's not unsafe or harming you or anyone else involved in the ghost hunt, try your best to remain calm, level-headed, cool, try your best. That's all we can do is try. Just kind of be open to what's happening. I know it's hard for us skeptics, that are conducting ghost hunts. Like, don't immediately close it off, just be open. Have an open mind. Like, embrace the moment, what's happening. You can kind of like rationalize it later, but in the moment, like, as long as it's not hurting you or anyone else, accept what's going on and just keep an open mind. If you're able to, like I said, if it's not, harming you, definitely try to engage with it. Like, something's happening, you're getting something. Why are you going to end the hunt or investigation right then and there? No, keep engaging with it. Try to get more. See if there's like anything else that you can get from it, and capture it. If you are satisfied with your results and what you get, or if it's just scary or too much, overwhelming or unsafe, definitely like leave the area, call it a day, be respectful, and be safe. Just a word of caution before I let you go. If you are performing a ghost hunt, please, 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 especially if you are conducting a ghost hunt on your own or with others in like a more abandoned, secluded location, just please be careful. Not only because some of these buildings are, like I said, dilapidated, like they're not in good condition, you can seriously hurt yourself. You can see in my county jail vlog, I freaking tripped over so many things in there because I just wasn't looking where I was going. You want to cut yourself on any sharp objects or things that are just decaying in there. Also, for like a spiritual sense, I don't necessarily believe this, but some people do believe that if you go and conduct an investigation, then, sometimes you will encounter evil spirits or demonic entities and they can attach themselves to you. I don't, like I said, believe in that, but my family and my friends who know that I do this tell me to throw like salt over my left shoulder, right shoulder, I don't remember which one, I just throw it over both and call it a day. But I don't necessarily believe in that. I don't really cleanse myself or do anything like that. But if you do believe in that, then definitely, spiritually speaking, cleanse yourself so that way you are safe. Definitely be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings. Don't, trip over everything in the dark like I do. Be alert, especially in abandoned buildings or, places that are conducted with like a company or crew. You don't want to get hurt, not only by like, the actual buildings and the condition of it, but just like possible, homeless people or anyone else in there that doesn't necessarily have good intentions. Last but not least, have fun. This is something that a lot of people do. Of course they want to get evidence, but it's in a way kind of fun for them to do. At least for me it is. I don't take it too seriously. I find it very fun to do this, and I hope that you find it fun as well. That is it. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with me this far. I can imagine this video is probably pretty long, but I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful new year. Bye guys!